Today we're going to be looking at some quick and easy Christmas card ideas using Sizzix dies and embossing folders. Now yesterday I set about the task of creating 10 different cards. Got a bit carried away, I'm afraid, and I actually did 15, I hope you don't mind. But Christmas time, of course, is a busy time for everybody, but especially the card maker. And that's where die cutting really comes into its own. It allows you to mass produce stunning handmade cards in no time at all. Let's have a look at some of the ideas. Okay, before we start, I just want to say that at the end of this video, there will be a link to give you full in-depth instructions to all the techniques and products used to make all the cards today. Let's have a look at this one first. This is a lovely, elegant little Winter Wishes card. And I created this background effect using some of my holiday knit thinlits by Tim Holtz. What I did was I made my own stencil. As you can see, I cut these one at a time, and then I placed it onto the card like so before using a sponge applicator. Now you can load this with white gesso or white chalky paint, doesn't really matter. And then just sponge through the stencil like so, fading out towards the end, and we get this lovely effect. Then simply die cut the Winter Wishes phrase out of silver card and attach it using adhesive foam pads. For our next little card, what I actually did was cut out some of this lovely natural fibre and then stamped it with a little Christmas motif there before adding my die cut snowflake. This was made using a lovely Biggs die called Snowflake Duo. And this die actually comes with its very own texture fades embossing folder, so you can get all this delicate detail. Absolutely fantastic. Now, the next Christmas dies we're going to feature are these lovely framelits, bunting dies. Now, I know what you're thinking. Bunting doesn't exactly suggest Christmas. When you turn them over, you've got 10 lovely Christmas trees. And they were used to create these 3 cards. This one, for example, was die cut from white card, then embossed, and I used distress inks just to bring out the detail. The second card, I actually die cut from corrugated cardboard, and then used a little gesso applied with a brayer, just again to bring out that lovely ridge detail there, before finally this card, which is actually one of my favorites. This was hand cut before the bottom was torn, attached the blue background and 3 lovely little die cut trees and a bit of bling just to set it off there. Now, I love these 2 little cards, particularly the snowman. That one seems to be quite popular around these parts. But first off, we'll look at this little heart card. And what I actually did was used a framelits heart die to cut a red heart. And then I took this snowflake, which is one of a set of 5 called paper snowflakes, again another thinlet set. And I placed that over the heart to cut the aperture. So I ran that back through the machine again. And you can see the effect that we get here. Very simple, very quick. Now the snowman itself, it's not a snowman die, it's actually 2 framelit circles. And we cut those out of white card. Then I added some pearl gems for the eyes, mouth and buttons. The nose and scarf were hand cut with scissors. And finally, the 2 little arms. Remember our snowflake from earlier? I actually cut a brown snowflake and removed a couple of those arms and just attached them to the snowman. Couldn't be simpler. Now let's take a look at our ever popular tattered poinsettia Biggs die. This card was made using the die, and you can see that I started by stamping this text onto an ivory base card. Then I used some natural twine before adding the poinsettia. And you can see that I used the medium and the small poinsettia. And after die cutting, I actually used some distress ink, just to give a little bit of contrast around the edges. And to get the dimension, what I did was I took the poinsettia and used, in this case I'm using the edge of my tweezers, and just curled them nice and gentle before pushing those up into the middle. And you can see that this gives lovely added dimensions, so when you layer them together it really looks realistic. Finally, I punched a hole in the center and added this artificial flower stamen just to set it off. Now, to show you just how quick and easy these cards are to make. I'm going to make one from scratch, and I'm going to use the gorgeous layered snowflake Bigs die by Tim Holtz. So I'm taking some craft card and I'm going to place it onto the face of the die like that. Then I'm going to sandwich it between my cutting plates, and these actually are my cutting plates, and you can see that they're well worn and well loved, but there's plenty of work in those yet. So we'll place that into the machine, wind it through, move the top plate, and there is our lovely snowflake. Now I just need to pop out the little bits using our ubiquitous pokey tools. I think everybody's got one nowadays. And there we have it. So the great thing about this die is it comes with its very own Texture Fades embossing folder. And this is going to provide the detail that I need to use. So I simply line that up with the folder, make my sandwich. So I'm holding this tight so it doesn't slip out of register. There we are. I know that's going to be perfect now. And I'm going to open my multi-purpose platform to tab 1, place the plates, folder and card onto the platform and wind through as before. And there we have it. Isn't that gorgeous detail? Fantastic. Now, let's just move my machine to one side. Now, to bring out this detail, I'm actually going to use some white gesso. And you can use acrylic, you can use chalky paint, whatever suits your purposes. I'm going to use this palette knife just to put a little on the craft mat. And that's quite important because you can never take it away. You can always add more, so always start off quite light with this. So put my palette knife back on there, and I'm going to use a brayer just to roll that out. Like so. Then I'm just going to go around. So there's no care and attention really. You want a completely random technique. In fact, any imperfections make this better. So that's our snowflake, and I'm just going to set it to one side to dry. And we're going to look at the background of the card. Now, this is going to be my base card. It's 10.5 by 10.5, and I'm going to add some stamped detail to that. I'm going to use a couple of different shades of ink. Firstly, this is pumice stone distress ink. Working face down on the stamp. Again, because of the techniques we're using, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. So add that to the card there, and then we'll use a darker ink pad with this Christmas motif, and we'll stamp that there. So we're halfway there already. There we are. Now for my snowflake, as you remember, it's probably dried by now. And if you're doing a batch of these cards, you can do that process all at once. You can have hundreds of these snowflakes waiting to add to your cards. I'm going to use some tiny little foam pads and attach them to the back of the snowflake like so. It's funny, you don't need to use too many of these. They do stick down rather well. And then we'll peel off the backs. There we are, all ready to go. And I want to add this to my card, but I want it slightly overhanging the edge. So we'll place it like that. And I want to use a little tiny gem as well, just in the center of that snowflake. Like so. You probably noticed that it's overhanging. All I need to do now, you can use a craft knife. I'll just use my scissors. We'll trim off the sides and the tip. And that's it. All ready to go. Simple, elegant, perfect. Okay, so there we have it. 15 quick and easy cards made in no time at all. And as I mentioned earlier, if you want to follow the link, this will lead you to full instructions about the techniques and products used to create all of these cards. Or for further inspiration, why not simply go to our website. Thanks for watching, and see you again soon.